Yep.
All right, we are officially live to not too many people out in the internet. First off, welcome to NYVR. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Awesome. Great crowd. I'm DJ Smith. I'm the NYVR organizer. We are on, I think, year 12, which is crazy. Okay, so I'm going to go through some housekeeping stuff, and then we will go. So, first, who is new to NYVR? First time here, raise your hands. Welcome, 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 welcome. Brandon, I know you have been here a few times. Okay, so for newbies, NYVR's mission statement is pretty simple. It's just to grow the XR ecosystem. So if we can help you out, let us know that what's good for XR is good for us. Want to thank the Glimpse Group for providing the event space. That's my company. Our CEO is traveling. He's usually here, so he gave his regards. Thank you to our team of volunteers, Anthony and Jean, who are always helping me find great speakers and organize some logistics. And I put Hasib on here because Hasib hooked us up with some wine. So, thank you, Hasib. I need my glass actually after I speak. All right. Also, as I mentioned, we do live stream the events. The link is in the meetup description, and it stays recorded. So if you want to watch it live or you want to go back, you can go back and watch any of the older ones. And many thanks to Jimmy Gilberti, who is with KSVN TV. He helps me with the broadcasting. For the new folks, we do something called the NYVR Collaboration Group. This is designed to help members meet like-minded folks and start creating VR projects. So the way that it works is I'll basically take your name and skill set at the end of the presentations, and I'll team people up based on complementary skills. So I'll take a developer and an artist and a project manager and say, go do something wonderful. I have a couple people on deck from past events, but I need some other people to pair them with. So if you are trying to get into the industry and you just want to go create something and you want somebody to hang out with and do that, that is a great forum to do that. We've been doing it many years, and a lot of the teams that came out of that group ended up forming companies, and it's been really successful. So definitely encourage you to take advantage. We're always looking for future presenters and demos, so if you're working on stuff, if you know somebody who's working on stuff, definitely hit me up. Happy to, at minimum, give you table space for demoing, and then I am always programming future presentations. And our normal format is 4 speakers for about 15 minutes with Q&A. And the same with XR startups. So if you get wind of an XR startup that's looking to get exposure, definitely connect them. It's always good to get time on stage, get LinkedIn videos, and get a little bit of a following through our community. This list, I did not get to update, but this is from last month. So I've been taking a little survey of what is your favorite VR experience. So if you want to take a picture of that, you're welcome to. It's really good to go in and take a look at some of the VR experiences that are out there. Reddit is also a really good source of information on what's kind of trending. But I really enjoy hearing from the community what is resonating. And if you'd like, if you've experienced something lately that you think is worthy of sharing, hit this QR code, and I will update the list for next month, I will promise that. All right, and I can share this after the fact also. We have a wonderful demo that will be available after the presentations. It's Zihao and Dosen, I think. Sorry if I mispronounced that name, but they're over there. They will be in the back of the room, and they have a super cool virtual tour, and I'm going to just play this to give everyone a
Welcome to our product demo.
First, we take the images of the low library using Gaussian splatting to construct the digital model for the virtual environment. Wearing the VR headset, users can enter the virtual environment. They can see the interior of the low library. They can walk and look around in the scene. They can also switch back and forth between the hundreds of years ago and current settings. To trigger that interaction, the user can press a certain controller button or touch a finger. A classroom audio will also be played to make the user feel more realistic in the environment.
All right, I think I'm going to stop it there. Definitely after the presentations, head back there and connect with them and check out the demo. And thank you guys for coming on last minute notes. Really appreciate it here. All right. Let me get back.
Welcome to our product demo. First.
Okay. Now, so I have to apologize. Our original lineup, including Patrick Relay, he got COVID last night. So, unfortunately, we have to push it into the fall, but thankfully, Trish and Joe just came out of the woodwork for me, and really appreciate them filling the spots. So bonus for everyone here, instead of 4, we get 5 presenters, and a really cool MR demo that will be in the back also. So thank you for putting together your slides so quickly and helping fill out the event. So with that, I think we're gonna get right to it. We have a wonderful lineup. All the speakers will spend about 10 or 15 minutes going through their presentation, and then we do Q&A afterwards, and it's a cool system. So after each speaker, there's a QR code. I'll show this a bunch of times before the end of the presentations, and definitely trigger that and put your questions into the queue, and then I'll have everyone come up afterwards. All right, I think that is all the housekeeping stuff. I'm going to get off the stage and invite Claire.
All right, thanks. I'm Claire. This is a bit of an old school demo. It was something I'm very interested in, so I did some research as opposed to talking about a project I'm currently working on. I am the founder of Living Machines Media. I'm a consultant working in immersive and emerging media experiences. I work with immersive creative studios and also experiential agencies. And that's Camden. My background is in film and TV. I've produced a couple films and then also worked in marketing, communications, and strategy partnerships. And during the pandemic, I decided really to change my consulting from film-based to XR-oriented. So now I'm working pretty much exclusively with XR organizations. I'm very passionate about ethical uses of technology, so here are 2 organizations that I'm a member of. The QR code under the XR Guild logo is an invite for the meetup we have going on next week. It's our 1-year anniversary, and Jean is one of the co-organizers. Yeah, we made it here, very exciting. So feel free to, hopefully sign up and come join us. We are going to have some really interesting speakers and demos. We've got Stephen Wren, who's the founder of a startup called Glacial that creates a co-pilot for creators building and sharing 3D experiences. So that's a really neat thing for developers to explore. We've also got Todd Bryant, who's the director of production at NYU Tandon School of Engineering. And he's going to be doing a super cool demo. He teaches a class there on immersive amusement park ride development. So if you've come to any XR Guild meetups, you've probably seen like a strange chair in front of a big screen. And it's one of his student projects where you can actually get in the chair. There's screen projection, there are haptics, everything's in motion. There are other sensory experiences involved. So I've been wanting to try that out for about 6 months. And he's going to be talking about it and demoing it. We also have Simone Sun, who's an XR product designer, and a demo from Jamie Pollitt and David Lobster. And that's going to be an immersive, interactive demo involving birds. I'm not really sure what else. Flock, yeah. But those are both going to be super interactive and interesting. All right. Is Human is a more general, all-tech ethics organization. They're not really that interested in XR, so I've started working with them, and I'm going to do a series of articles about XR, trying to get them, aware and interested, but also been pointing out some of the kind of serious issues surrounding it that everyone should be aware of, at least tangentially in the back of their mind as the technology gets more acclimated to our culture. And then I'm also working on their tech policy curriculum right now. And okay, so I'm talking about virtual production, computer-generated imagery, and visual effects. And you might be wondering, why does NYVR really care about this? I hope you guys do. But the reason that it is of so much interest, I believe, is because it uses immersive technology and XR technology in every step along the way of production. So I'm going to be going through some of these technologies that I've been familiar with but didn't quite fully understand. Didn't understand how they were employed in gaming and in film, so I did some research. Some of you probably are more expert than me on some of these technologies, but my aim is to give kind of a working knowledge and overview of what these things do. I'm going to start out with a video shortly that is just 1.5 minutes, and it's a special effects video where you can see sort of what the camera is showing, what audiences are watching, and then how that is being filmed, to sort of get an intro of what things look like. Then I'll go through these different elements of virtual production and technologies, and then at the end I'm going to wrap up with a behind-the-scenes sort of shoot from House of the Dragon, and that gets into a lot of these technologies, and they'll be using a lot of these terms, and hopefully by the end of the presentation you'll know what they will mean, and it'll make sense. Okay. So here are just a couple examples of films that were really pioneering in the virtual production space. If you're interested, the QR code at the bottom links to The Lion King, which was really pioneering in the use of VR and other immersive technologies in production. So if you want, you can scan that, and it'll lead to a YouTube video. It's about 20 minutes, and those are a couple other examples that'll be part of the presentation as well. Okay, so I'm going to start out with this video. I hope you enjoy it. It's 1.5 minutes. Starts out a tiny bit slow, but it gets very cool. All right, when I saw that, I just had to learn more. So a little bit of background as, a person who studied film, I'm familiar with all this stuff. Let's see, so this is how technology of, DJ, can you help me make this full screen again? So, yeah, rear projection, we've probably all seen it. It came to prominence in the 30s, and
It's not connected.
well, I skipped ahead to green screens. But rear projection really came to prominence around the 30s, and some of the first special effects that were done in films. You've probably seen it, I'm sure, in old cars with people driving and various things like that. Green screens rose to prominence more in the 80s and 90s, and it was a much more realistic technique. You can see on the left, that's a scene from Game of Thrones, actually, up on the wall, shot with a green screen. And green screens are still used widely, and they're used also in virtual production in some instances, depending on different practices. But where we've moved from there, that is really where we're moving looking forward, and being used in films, TV, but also very widely in certain advertisements, is virtual film productions shot on LED screens. I'm going to go over some of the elements real quick. That is a dumpster that I've created, and it took me 8 weeks, and it was really hard. But that's one of the 3D assets that are used, incorporated in virtual production. You can also get assets in places like marketplaces. Another place where assets and scenes are created that are then incorporated in virtual production is via photogrammetry, which involves taking a lot of photographs and then putting them all together, analyzing, triangulating the image data, and reconstructing the surfaces. So pretty complicated. LiDAR, also complicated, is used, which uses spatial distances and relationships between objects to also create models, 3D maps in different environments. More and more artificial intelligence is really making its way to all facets of this technology. The stuff that I'm introducing you to is largely the conventional way of doing things. AI is coming in and really shaking that up and making stuff a lot more accessible to everyday people. One of those instances is NERSC, which employs neural networks to then also transform 2D objects into 3D images or models. Then we get into the game engines, where all these 3D assets and scenes are imported. You're probably, a lot of you familiar with Unity, which is used primarily for game design, but Unreal Engine, more popular in filmmaking, just the quality is higher, and you don't need all the capabilities that Unity excels at in terms of interactivity with backgrounds and stuff like that. So game engines, of course, were developed for gaming, but also used kind of every step along the way with VR and AR development, now in film production and other simulations. So volumetric capture, VolCap, this is a rig. If you haven't seen one before, they're really cool. It's just 100 plus cameras shooting from all angles, then being stitched together to make 3D models, and also people. There's a photogrammic, VolCap image at the bottom. And it's cool because the character is actually in 3D, you can spin it around. Motion capture uses similar principles in that you're using a lot of cameras to track the motion of actors, using markers on their body or ping pong balls to really capture the way humans move. Again, there are a lot of different ways to do this. This is more of an old school way. You can see an example from Avatar, for example, where they really zoomed in on people's faces using this technology, and they can get really realistic images for the computer-generated images. This technology is used for digital twins, along with some other technology that has some really cool use cases for directors and cinematographers as they're designing their shots and pre-visualizing their scenes. They're able to use digital twins as stand-ins. They're also used for some stunts, and they're used for de-aging, which a lot of us have probably experienced. And Carrie Fisher, for example, there had already passed away when they shot this, and they were able to de-age her and use a body double, and then bring her character back in a recent Star Wars movie. All right, pre-visualization, super cool, and this is where VR really comes in. This is from The Lion King, and at this point, you've already got the scenes built, the CGI built, you've got virtual characters, everything's in there ready for the film to be made, and directors can use either screens or VR and go in and really compose their scenes, decide what shots they want to use, decide how they want to move their cameras, really embody the camera and do a lot of work here that might be storyboarding and stuff, but is also laying out the structure and flow of the film that previously would be done in post-production. They're now able to do through pre-visualization. LED screens, super duper cool. The video that I'm going to show at the end of this talk has an amazing LED screen. They are light-emitting diode panels, which means they're actually shooting light out at the characters and lighting the scene itself. So shadows are very realistic as opposed to shooting on a green screen where the lighting is really difficult to match up in post-production. And there'll be, kind of LED panels all over the place. Like this is just kind of one example, but you can see the ground is also like that. And real-time rendering is kind of like the key to all of this, which takes those scenes that were built and allows the director then, kind of using the LED panels to move all the computer-generated imagery around. You saw that in the special effects with the car, that the car didn't turn upside down, all the imagery turned upside down. So real-time rendering allows directors to move these things around in real time, and it also affords a lot of other capabilities, changing light, changing scale, setup and breakdown of new scenes. If you're shooting on location, an hour. Virtual cameras are really interesting, so they are up and pre-programmed in previs, so you can see, exactly how the film is going to be formulated with the shot structure and composition. They can be actually in camera form, just as a monitor, and you can see here PlayStation controllers there, because they're basically, using that gaming infrastructure, or they can even just be monitors on the table. And AI, I mentioned, can be used at every step along the way to smooth things out, improve realism, make assets more quickly. All right, DJ, do you want to tell me a couple? Okay, I love this. Hopefully the terms will be more understood.
We have the biggest volume set in the world, and it is spectacular. It looks like something out of NASA.
It goes by many names: virtual studio, virtual set. It's the new kid on the block at the moment.
What the volume provides in its tool form is an alternative. It's a way of bringing the action back home.
It has over 2,000 LED screens. It is completely enclosed. It operates with the camera.
There are 92 motion capture cameras, and what those do is solve the position of where the principal camera is. And that information gets passed into Unreal Engine, which is a game engine. It's that next evolution of the ability to see your visual effects live in camera while you're shooting. Ultimately, on the set, there was just this unadorned bridge. Yeah, you've got the castle behind the characters, but then above them, still in the frame, you've got this smeared castle across the ceiling tiles, which is correct in perspective of the camera, but to your eye looks really, really strange. But then when you go over to the director's monitors at Video Village and just look at what's in the camera, you're transported to where this scene is taking place, and you're sort of brought into the illusion.
It was so great to have something the actors could react to in real time.
It's pretty surreal. It's a lot easier because you're not imagining everything, it's there in front of you.
Sir Crispin, wasn't it? Sir Crispin Cole, my friend.
Ah, yes, apologies, I couldn't recall.
Perhaps my Prince recalls when I knocked him off his horse.
It was spectacular to look through the lens and really see where the show comes to life, and to give it a real look and texture. The real Dragonstone Bridge is completely impractical to shoot a scene on.
This one is a bridge that's been seen in Game of Thrones, and it's this fabulous zigzagging bridge that connects mainland to the monastery.
Because we were able to recreate it from LiDAR scans from the actual set. We're able to shoot in any direction. You can shoot profiles, you can shoot wides, you can be above.
Oh no! In the center, there was a pivot, so they could turn and spin 360. So we would shoot up the incline one day, and then overnight, magically, we'd be shooting down the incline the next day.
They can create a background which is 10,000 feet up in the air in the mountains, and so that gives them the opportunity to be really visually creative.
Okay, cool. Yeah, So that's a brief intro into virtual production and how immersive technology is used. And Yvonne, interesting.
Thank you so much. Wonderful presentation. So hold on, let me get back to our thing here. Hold on. All right. So if you have any questions for Claire, please trigger the QR code. And next presenter is Mr. Arturo talking about looking glass.
Hello. So first I'd like to thank DJ and NYVR for the invitation and the time to be here and I brought this. And then I would like to start the same way I start all my meetings, which is taking a deep breath. So if you want to do it with me, you don't have to, but I'm about to because I need it. That's great. And thanks Claire for that walkthrough of so much of the tech that we all either don't know about or love. So my name is Arturo, as it says on the slide. I'm here in person, less pixelated than up there. And I am going to see this.
On? The slide switch.
Oh, you're right. And yeah, if you want to get in touch, scan that. I'll throw it up again at the end of the session, but that's how you can get a hold of me or learn a little bit more about Looking Glass, which is what I'm here to present about today. So I work at Looking Glass. I'm the community manager there, which means that I get to have the virtue of connecting with a lot of the artists and creatives such as yourselves and many others that are not in this room or that may be watching online and making their visions come to life. There's a big community of creators around the world, both at the just getting started with things like Blender, Unity, Unreal, some of the stuff we'll be talking about here today, but also enterprise level partners and kind of big name companies, some of which you'll see the work that we've done with later on. But yeah, we make holographic displays with the hardware and the software to power them. Is the audio okay for everybody? Okay. Yeah, so this is the future that we were promised, like some of those videos that were thrown up on the screen earlier, or some of the ones that you see here. It's holograms, it's things floating out at you, interactive everything, right? And so that is a little bit of what we're trying to do at Looking Glass. And by a little bit, I mean that's exactly what we do. We make holographic displays, we make the plugins that allow you to interact with some of the software that you're using and bring something from Blender, let's say, into this display. And we also make applications that support the creative process and some of the other things that we'll get into later today. But yeah, we have plugins out of Unity, Unreal, Blender, WebXR, you name it. And the likelihood is that if the tool that you're using or that you like to use or that you're thinking about building has a camera and has access to the translation, that's like the movement of that camera, then you can make some form of rig that will take what you're capturing and rendering out and display it in our display, either in real time or in pre-rendered content. So why is this important? Well, there's a lot of different challenges that come with the current state of things, and I think I should preface that I'm not in any way, Looking Glass is not in any way anti-VR. I think there's a space and a time for being in a headset, but we like to offer an alternative solution for people who either don't enjoy that or don't want to do that or have a vision for which that is restricted. And we'll get into it a little bit more as I continue to this, but as we know, like the VR sea legs or kind of eye strain or heavy headset or something can be very off-putting for some people, let alone for people who have some form of condition for which that's just like untenable for them. We offer a solution that, much like you're just staring at this screen or that screen, or hopefully, well, maybe not hopefully, but not hopefully me, all you have to do is stare. You don't really have to show somebody how to use this hologram magic. There's no headset required. It's a multi-view system, and if you're familiar with light fields, then you understand more or less what that is, and if you're not, we'll walk through it. But I guess this is a good point to stop the talking active thing and just ask, who's heard of Looking Glass before? Or is familiar with this? Oh, perfect, then I don't have to, I'll just breeze right through this and we can get right to Q&A. And who has kind of like came here slightly because you're like, I don't know what any of these things are and I want to know more. Okay, perfect, great. Thanks for participating in that hand raising exercise. So mobile phones, VR headsets, we're familiar with those. Looking glass displays, I have one here that I'm going to show you in a second, if it turns on. And yeah, what happens is we're broadcasting 45 to 100 different views. So this means that if you're looking at one of our displays, your eyes are seeing somewhere between, like, let's say 6 and 10 different views of a 3D scene at the same time, which tricks your brain into thinking that there's something there in 3D. What does that look like? Well, these is the display lineup. We've got the glass go, and they go much larger to about the size of this display that we're looking at. And I'm going to skip through that one because I think we get it. This is what that looks like. This was all shot in camera. There's no VFX added in post, other than some light color correction, but this is what you would see if you're looking at the display in person, and we'll see that in just one moment. But it's a group viewable display, which means that we can all stare at the same time. I don't have to teach any of you how to look at the display. You can just kind of stare at it passively. It's not tracking you in any way, so we're not getting any sort of biometric data from your eyes or your height or anything like that, and there's no setup required other than just plugging it in and turning on the drivers and such, much like you would for a VR headset if you were connecting that to your computer. And yeah, it's seamless. It's not anything you really have to do. So who is using this is one of the #1 questions that I get all the time when I'm walking people through demos, and it's a natural question to have. My answer, I've been at Looking Glass for 2 years, is getting slowly refined, and kind of like, it's the internet there, hey everybody. My answer to that question is, it feels a little bit flippant, but it's not. It's anybody who has any interest in showing something on a display and wants to show that information in 3D is a big fan of our displays. And this could be content that is made specifically to be shown in 3D, like in a game engine like Unity or Unreal, or this can be content that can be uplifted or brought into 3D using AI tools, whether that's something that we build or something that you build in-house. And any holocom or communication with people in like a 3D way, kind of like the Apple Vision Pro spatial FaceTime situation is something that we've been promised for some time too, and this is obviously like a big case of interest. Digital twins, which were mentioned earlier during Claire's presentation, where people want to build, let's say, a set for a film and really see what that looks like, or maybe you're building out a VR experience and you don't want to be in and out of the headset, but you would like to cast your Unity screen and be able to show your collaborators what you're working on and how everything's going to look dimensionally is a good use for that. And then immersive experiences where you can have actual interaction. It's just the Looking Glass displays are secondary displays that can show stuff in 3D. And so anything that you can come to a 2D display, you can come to one of ours, provided that you can convert that content into something that can be shown in 3D. This is more of what that looks like in the spatial visualization thing, and I'm going to stall while you look at those and quickly go to my favorite hologram that I've made in Blender in the past couple of days, so that I can pass that around to you. God, I've loaded so many holograms into this hologram machine, because they all just fit. It's so great. Almost there. Boom, we're done. Okay, here you go. Feel free to pass it around. And you can see what I'm talking about, like in person, in your hands. But yeah, spatial visualizations. This is from left to right, a project that we've been working on with folks at NVIDIA. I think if we can get resets, or actually maybe not, but you can see some of the folks from NVIDIA chatting with other people who are a city away or so. You can find more about this online, or we can chat about it afterwards. Here in the middle, we've got an application that's being built out just to demonstrate some 3D models that you can zoom into for a government agency. And then Schrodinger, this is meant to show that like we can connect out of tools for medical visualization and the like. So pretty much again, as long as you can put the information on there, you can see it. And a lot of people love this to the point where they ask, I want to deploy this at my next activation at South by Southwest or AWB or name events here. And so we do facilitate those. So from left to right, we've got Louis Vuitton and Nike. This was for a virtual Apple Nike Louis Vuitton Looking Glass hologram fiesta that happened, I believe, a year and a half ago. And then we've got some of the characters from Elemental that Pixar was interested in putting in our displays, and they actually found a way to get their in-house render engine to pump out for the displays, content to the display, and then some work that we've done for Island and the Mandalorian for the Star Wars anniversary celebration last year or the year before that. And so if you want to deploy an experience that many people can see, as you see in this image here, that many people can film and pull out on their phone and be excited by or interact with, which we'll get to the interactive stuff a little bit later, this is a great way to do it without having too much overhead. So that's a lot, and we're about to go into even more, but I'll try to cover it lightly. So we also have blocks. I think if I click here, it will play. And this is our solution for how to get content into the display if it wasn't made with the display right next to it, or if it was 2D content that's meant to be uplifted. So in short, what does that mean? You can take any image, drag and drop it into our Arturo, and it will convert it into a hologram for you that you can then tune and determine like how deep you want it to go, how far do I want the background to be, how close do I want the subject to be. But you can also upload creations from Blender, Unity, and all the tools that I named earlier, and host them there, kind of like one of our social media equivalents, except specifically for holograms. And the beauty of it is that if you go to blocks.class, which is this platform here, and you visit it in your VR headset, you actually get a view into a VR scene where you can actually move around as though you were looking at the looking glass that's being passed around at the moment, and replicate that view. And so this means that if you don't have a looking glass, or you want to create something for somebody who doesn't have a looking glass, but you want them to experience it in the same way, you can do that. Maybe that's something that we can demo later or at another time. And we also make light forms, which is the world's first conversational holographic light form. Or in short, if you can imagine something like an LLM, having a face and a body and animations that you can drive, and talk to this AI character that you create and feed information into, this is what light forms is. So I don't know where the display is at the moment, but it's over here somewhere. But as it makes its way around, imagine that out of it was some character that you or somebody else made with a personality, and it could answer questions about custom information that you uploaded to it. And so this is what we've done for a lot of partners, some of which aren't listed here, but I guess the PGA Tour is on there. And they just wanted people to, for example, be able to walk up to this character, the Phoenix, and ask it, hey, guys, I don't know anything about golf, so I can't even make a thing for this, but like, when is so-and-so putting, right, that's a thing, at the 7th hole or something? And the character would give a response back with the voice and the personality and the custom knowledge that, in this case, the PGA Tour folks imbued to the character. And so it could answer back in kind of like a snarky tone or a fun tone with a gruff voice or whatever voice you can. And this is something that you can do yourself as well. And upload custom knowledge. So imagine at some point down the line being able to go, hey, what's on my schedule for today? And having your own personalized character who's holographic and you can see and kind of really feel the presence of appear there. So that is light forms. And that is also the end of the slideshow, because I don't really do slideshows, but I feel like we've probably got enough time now. Right? So if you want to chat later, or if you want to catch up after chatting today, feel free to scan this. And if you have any questions, I'll be around.
That's great. We'll put the QR code up. Oh, we got some more contact info. And here's the QR code for questions. I know I have some questions. We'll bring up that. Awesome. With that, I think we're going to skip to our next presenter. Let's move on. Who's going to be talking about hubs. Actually,
I'm curious.
Who knows Mozilla Hubs, formerly Mozilla Hubs?
Interesting. It's built in hubs. Interesting. All right, awesome. Good start.
All right. Yeah. So hello, my name is Yvonne Grzenkowicz. I am the founder of Animation X New York and ANNY Exchange. I also am a co-owner of Animation for Adults for the Animation Aficionado. And now I'm an interim co-director for Hub Hubs Foundation. And that's what I'm here to talk about. But I'll give you a little bit of a lead-in about Animation Next New York and ANNY Exchange to sort of tie things together and tell you a little bit of story. Hopefully it will be interesting for you, and hopefully you'll get excited and want to use hubs. So Animation Next New York is a monthly screening event, an annual festival. We've been around about 8 years now. We're connected to over 40,000 animation teams from all around the world. We curate really high caliber animation, and it's all happening right now. You're probably aware, but everything from like sand animation to VR is happening. It's really a beautiful time. So we're connected with those folks in that space with monthly screening events. We show incredible work from everywhere. We've done events around the city, and again, you get to see some screenshots there, but yeah, really amazing work. We, some of these, DJ's gonna be in some of these photos, but we do live in-person screenings, and that's what we initially did for a number of years. We were also involved in the VR space. You can see like the dated headsets there. But we had a VR showcase, you know, with over 30 unique pieces, really high-end stuff, and you know, that's when I really started finding an interest in VR, really got kind of passionate about it. You know, in fact, we had a partnership with High Fidelity at one point. They did a digital twin of that space that you saw in the last photo, and I was like, this is very, very cool, right? So that's when I really found a passion for the space. More pictures. We would have industry events, right? Talk about pain points, bring people together. That was sort of the impetus for Animation Next New York events. And still is. ANNY Exchange was something that developed as well. It was really about connecting clients to animation and animators to opportunities. So whether that's distribution or exhibition, like anything that will give them a path to revenue. That's another thing that we work on and do. We work with different clients and partners to that end. So work on exhibition, distribution, etc. Because of our relationship to this talent, and because we're part of the talent ecosystem, we're in a unique place to do that. We also have a platform that we're working on, mostly client platform at this point, but you know, that's what I do. Now, when the pandemic hit, I was able to sort of really dive into WebXR. And WebXR became a solution for us, right, to keep the festival going and have online events. So that was my introduction to Hubs, Mozilla Hubs at that time, right? And I was using Spoke, and then my apartments looked very, very gray. But they had light making, and I was, you know, very excited about them, extremely excited. And it really kept everything going. We had our annual festival in this space, right? So that was when I really, you know, it saved us. Oh, there's more. Did you? Oh, you're in the next photo. We would have, we had these cool, you know, video feed avatars that were custom made, so people would have reference points when they talked to one another, because a lot of the industry folks that were there, Netflix and Arte and all of these people, you know, some of them weren't necessarily used to multi-user environments, right? So this way they could talk to one another, and we had some really cool panel events. We also built galleries around artists and then had industry follow them around the spaces to show off their work, and we're creating human moments with this technology. I know this is a lot of old hat for a lot of people here, because you're like, oh yeah, multi-user spaces, but you know, that level of accessibility that WebXR has, and particularly in this case with Mozilla Hubs, was very, very exciting to me, and perfect for our audience and for regular audiences. There you are, do you see yourself?
Same shirt.
Yes. Sweet, yeah, right. Oh, that's fantastic. Roundtable discussions. We also collaborated with other groups. This was a Spaceboy collaboration. They made this beautiful environment. Had never really built anything for WebXR before, but did things for movies and games, and obviously it was going to be an easy task for them. They built this beautiful roller coaster and environment. And then this is our space, a newer space that I built based on architectural drawings of different cool parks and buildings and things. The thing that I found with hubs was, you know, it's like this room, you know, in the organization that DJ has built and fostered, and what we've done with Animation Nights New York, hubs, there's this strength of community, right? Like, as soon as I started building, I immediately found folks to help me to break things and test stuff and you know, support what I was doing. And that is really, again, it sort of kept me wanting to make more and more. So, when the announcement was made that Mozilla was moving away from the project, the community came together and said, okay, well, we can take the reins. We can take it from here. We'll take it from here. And then the question became like, well, who will spearhead this? How will we keep this going? Right? How will we keep this open source code, this community, this platform, which was really a great tool for us? How will we keep it going? So we started Hub's Foundation, and you know, please join us. But we're currently, we have a small board. We now have control of the open source code and the Discord and, you know, all of the bits and pieces that we need. And yeah, we're just sort of moving forward with the project, and it's very exciting. Now, what's even more exciting is that there's a community edition build that was created with Kubernetes and Docker. And what that meant was, like, as I was like, oh no, the announcement, what am I going to do? I immediately, myself, as a self-taught full-stack development person, was like, okay, well, our server needs to survive that shutdown, right? So I was like, build, tear down, build, tear down, build, tear down. And our server did survive the shutdown. It was a huge accomplishment, honestly. And I'm not the only one, though. Like a few of us were sort of the first ones. But what was beautiful is that we did have this option with Docker and Kubernetes, this sort of like standalone server that's possible, and it's possible now to use to, you know, have a Hubs client of your own. And that is primarily what people are using at the moment. Another thing I wanted to mention is I kind of wanted to dispel this notion, if anyone was sort of holding on to it, that Hubs environments were just cartoony. So this is an example, a walkthrough from the Hubs team, which is beautiful. Is it playing? Yes, it is. Oh yeah, I probably should have edited the first part. Anyway, and this video looks pretty good, but yeah, when you're in the environment, it almost has like you can smell that, you know, after the rain smell, you know, of like city scene. I don't know. It's one of my favorite scenes. But I just wanted to show an example of a really kind of beautiful environment created in Hubs that's super light, right? Very accessible with one click, and all of that very valuable, especially as we move forward with wearables. You know, that accessibility with one click is really quite a beautiful thing. I could just, it's my favorite. Okay. We got past the theater. Okay. We'll move to that one. So this is, a couple different people worked on this. Jim Conrad was one. Did a lot of the design and light making. But it's just goals, man. Goals for me. And here's another environment. It's a theater environment, which again just kind of shows something that's a little bit more intricate. You know, if you think of Hubs like in the past, you may have just thought of, you know, what was on some landing pages, right? Just like cartoony, flat, like, you know, avatars with no legs. It's really quite beautiful. The other exciting thing that was introduced and that we're continuing to work on now are head, what do they do with them, right? Always the big question. And now, because of behavior graphs, basically utilizing a Blender add-on, utilizing an additional branch. It's not part of the main branch yet, we're working on that. You can have interactivity. So you can create mini games, you can build, sky's the limit, utilizing Blender itself with different nodes and sort of hooking up aspects, exporting from Blender, and then having a working GLB. So here's an example from the ANNY virtual event space. So what this shows are portals. No, okay, that's fine. So I'm going to move toward the portal. And you'll see that you wind up on the other side of the space. And so that's very cool. And then the other thing, this is something that I integrated personally, and I drew this little bird here. I spent way too much time drawing and animated this little tiny bird on my Procreate Dreams, right, and exporting it. Just a bird turning in his head. But the exciting thing here is that this is done with UV scrolling, so it's super, super light. They're not like GIFs, right? Currently, it's not the most efficient approach. Like, I'm just changing visibility of two UV scrolling sprites, right? And to be honest, like, it feels like a feature because whenever you click on him, he sort of like turns at different times in the turn. It looks like there's much more animation there. But it's exciting to think about, connecting these behavior graphs, connecting this UV scrolling, and then suddenly you have interactive animation. Oh my God! Like how, that's my dream, right? To see animators creating work that you can then cruise through with different people and interact with the characters. And then of course, include looking glass as part of it. But yeah, anyway. Okay, so hugs. My pitch. It's hardware agnostic, right? So you can use a VR headset or you can use your phone. All of that has been super valuable for me in using it for Animation Next New York because, again, our audience, they're not necessarily building in these things. They're experiencing them for the first time. Also, we've had people come into the ANNY virtual event space and watch full programs together in avatar form. I mean, there's something very valuable there for people who, can't get on the plane and fly to a festival. The accessibility I mentioned, we have an active community, it's open source, the behavior graphs, super exciting. There's also AI integration, it's right there. We're talking about web pages you can move through and into. It's been a stable platform for me, Testify, and it's WebXR. So, join us, we're on Discord. If anyone wants to talk to me about the Hubs Foundation or about ANNY or about ANNY Exchange, please, I'm accessible. Come talk to me or reach out. But yeah, and keep doing what you're doing, keep building.
And thank you for keeping it alive. For sure, it deserves to be. Okay, so we have two more speakers. We're a little bit over in time, so we're going to go quick. But let's have Trish come up, and any questions, hit the QR code. Come on up.
Thank you, DJ. It's great to be here, and it's great to see everyone. I see so many familiar faces.
Yep, I think so. Yeah. Just click the record logo.
BronxNet TV hired me, which was a full-time job, benefits, salary, everything's kind of like a dream job. What started out as a virtual augmented reality tour de France turned into virtual reality set designs for their immersive studio. So my first project was to do a immersive set design for a Halloween show. And I started out by sketching with AI. And here I have Skybox Labs comps along with some journey comps. And I also alter things in Photoshop. So the fastest way to tackle this project, they gave me this huge ask. We want to set a month. And I was like, okay. And I also did my art full time too. So I'm producing these sets and I was also doing my own art at the same time. So AI was my personal assistant. It was really the only way to take on the task. So this is just a couple comps that they liked the most. I did hundreds of comps with AI. I just kind of like went through it, and then I would go pick the best 20 to show them. But I had a vast amount. So this is one of the backgrounds they liked. Again, in Skybox. I love Skybox. It's amazing. It's really nice. You're able to show a video after you produce your whatever this rendering that you decide to create, and you could have a 360 pano in or download a video to show for your clients. And then I can use the JPEG export, and it also has every kind of export format you might need. I also, with the set design, had to have props. So Edgar Allan Poe is from the Bronx. I have my series of artwork that I've been creating. I did this whole Mother Earth series, and I've also put a cat and a castle, just some kind of fun elements. So these were also some images that were used in the final piece. And so here's where we ended up with. I worked with another person on the set designs for this first one, and I did like all the art direction, and then I did the portal as well, the talent standing in the middle of it. So they had this immersive green screen studio, full 360, seamless, and with a Ross Voyager video editing suite. So the video editing suite is a full switcher. You have to get trained in. They're looking for an engineer right now to use these set designs. And you can see she's standing right there, but when you look here, she's inside the scene, and how vast the space is in VR. It's just so exciting to see her just standing in one spot with the cameras. It's all digital cameras that are in the Ross suite that you can control. So you don't even have a camera in there. The camera is in the editing bay. So that's even exciting too. We had a lot of fun with this project. Here's again showing the talent again. A psychic, Riz the Wiz, came in and did she interviewed him, and he was from the Bronx, because everything we do at BronxNet TV is people from the Bronx. I don't know if I mentioned BronxNet TV, but that's where we were. And this is the editing suite. So old school, very old school, big buttons. For anyone who's familiar with editing suites. And then here's the, do I get the?
Yeah, I think you just
Just go forward and play. Okay, so I don't think the sound is working. So I also did the logo design, and here's the zoom in. Kind of has a little bit of Game of Thrones feeling. And of course, I have Edgar Allan Poe in the background there with the paintings, very massive. What was funny during her interview with Riz, he actually turned into Edgar Allan Poe. He did not know Edgar Allan Poe was behind him, and he actually started talking about why his stories were scary. that was our first baby, and it was very exciting. I don't have the whole episode. It was an hour long, but it was really nice to have the artwork there that I've been creating, and these artworks are also NFTs that I've minted on the blockchain. They've been shown in several VR art galleries like Verbella, XR Women's Frame, and Spatial, and so besides doing the art for BronxNet, I was working in tandem with my own stuff. So it gives you an example. So the next set design, they had a list of 12, but I only got 6 done. That's a lot of work. Is that 12? 1 a month? Well, you can do 2. I didn't think you just hit a button. So hip hop was the next, because hip hop was born in the Bronx, and hip hop's 50-year anniversary was last year, 2023. So Quick to Rock was my inspiration. She was one of the other artists at Bronx at TV. So I collaborated with other artists. So there were 10 of us all together that worked under Bronx at TV. So Quick to Rock, she's a hip hop dancer and performer. She sings, writes her own music. So Bronxland, I saw her perform, and that was my inspiration for the hip hop set design. And then I created with the journey, and I was inspired by Kingsbury. There was one section in Kingsbury where they had these little twinkle lights and bean bags. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to use that. So I also wanted to make an avatar out of her as well that she could mint as an NFT to try to raise funds, because it's all about trying to raise money in the Bronx, because it's about giving back and keeping it sustainable so that they can offer free education for people who live in the Bronx. So that's the whole purpose of this organization. So there she is. I just have stills that I took of her. First, she's with curtain, then green screen, and then converted over to her digital twin, which was a cat. And then here's the final. That's her with her husband. Her logo. They also, let's see if the music works. So this is their mix, and that's her dancing over to, I used Flask when I recorded her, and then I used Runway to keep her out and operate to hip-hop set design. You can see the Unreal Engine scale guys in space to kind of give you an idea of the whole space. You see I have the retro speakers. There's like a whole other area where people, feedbacks and things like that. So I kind of passed over the tools I use. So I use Blender as well. I tend to use tools that are free because I teach. I'm also a professor at St. Peter's University. So I always want to teach the tools that are affordable to people who can afford it. And Unreal is free, but you have to have a PC for that. One of the nice things with my residency, they also gave me a PC. I've been a Mac person, but it kind of forced me to learn a PC. Now I'm converted. I'm divorcing my Mac. So. I've been setting it up. I love it. So this, here's the sci-fi set. So I don't have my workflow here for the sci-fi set, but again, I did the same process with Midjourney, Skylab, showing comps, sketches, and this was kind of a really easy one. I did this background here, the space background. So this, so the first set you saw was used for a Halloween show for open channels. Then I had the Quick to Rock thing with the hip hop. This one was used for a, oh, here's my comp. Okay, I did put it in here. So this shows you how Skylab, how you can export a video of the 360 rendering that it'll generate. So this is one of my comps that I got that I let them choose from. And then also, one of my other deliverables is these set designs, I had to use Unreal 4.27 because the raw video editing suite did not support the latest version of Unreal Engine, so I had to work backwards a little bit. But wherever there's a box set logo, they can swap out that artwork. So everything else is has materials and rendered and everything, so they didn't have to do much heavy lifting. They're just using the set, importing it into the raw system, and then they can run from there. All right, so here's the set. So Eco Leaders, one of the other artist friends that I was working with were puppeteers. One of the puppeteers with Jim Henson. So they are doing programming for the community and giving back with the kids that could come and see the puppeteers. It's really adorable. So they loved their Eco Leaders, their outer space puppets, teaching kids about the environment. So this is the set, the final set design. You can see I have my holograms, just like yours. But my holograms are see-through. And then here's the green screen of the puppets. You can see them working puppets. And I always like to show the before and after the green screen and how they use the actual set side by side. So what they would do in the immersive studio with the green screen is they would have monitors for people to see what they're looking at. They pretty much would have to just stay in one place. So, and that worked really well. They were very happy about having this set design for Eco Leaders. So this is the last set I'm going to show you. So this is, they built Windows on the Bronxnet TV, in the South Bronx, across from the YMCA. That's where they are located. I don't have the address in front of us, but you can see the high-rise train, the notable Bronx train line in there in the background. So this inspired me for the last set design because I wanted to do Windows on the Bronx in VR. But the producer, the head guy, was like, I want something I can't afford. I want it to be a $10 million set, just go crazy. Something that can't physically be done. Make it for me. So they actually built this facility. It was an empty lot for years, and now it's a 2-story facility with classrooms, and there's the green screen. They are going to be doing the LED section of the set. They have sound editing suite. It's pretty amazing, and it's all about giving back to the community in classes. Most of the classes are free to Bronx residents. So here I'm really getting refined. After my 6th set design, I've got architectural above view, and then, what would this facility look like if it was Windows on the Bronx? And I wanted something to be like raised above the Bronx, right? But then I thought about it, why can't it just float? Why does it have to be attached to the garage? So here's my comp. Again, this is a combination of several things. I did a little bit of Midjourney, a little bit of Skybox, and then Photoshop. So I've got a ticker up here, a platform, the large LED monitor, and then this beautiful view of the rivers of the Bronx. Because the Bronx has the most rivers than any city in the country. I never knew that. The Bronx is amazing. So here, I'll play it for you. So besides the VR set, which is right there, I created these little platforms that you could jump out into. So that's the ultimate fantasy. How many portals? Instead of a portal, you actually just jump out. So I got a little fire pit there for a seating room, and then I got this little stage where someone's dancing in hip hop. Yeah, that didn't sound to this one. So, and again, Unreal Engine. So I really enjoy working in Unreal Engine, and it's nice that you can import things FBX format from Blender, and this is just a Maximo dancer that I downloaded from Adobe, and you can see the glass is there. And you can just see from the. I thought it was really fun. You can see from the outside, you can see from the inside, looking out. I can't wait to see what they do with these set designs. They're going to live on, and initially I was going to, as I mentioned before, I was going to do the augmented reality project, but that was, I was going to be using drones to do LiDAR scanning of different objects and things like that. But then New York passed that law where you can't have drones in any public places. And 2 years ago they passed another law, the federal government passed a law, you have to have a flying license to fly a drone. So it kind of like changed everything on me. So, and does anyone have any questions?
We'll do Q&A.
Okay, all right. And so that's my project.
All right, last presenter. This is Trisha's contact information if you want to hit her up. And here's the QA. And Joe, come on up. You can use that button to advance.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Also, let's just take a moment. I know it's the last talk. We've been here sitting for about an hour. You guys want to stand up for a moment? Just page up Arturo's book. Okay.
Actually, where's the holographic display?
Yeah. How big is it? Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. And in the spirit of this presentation, this is a punching boxing UFOs demo. And then what my talk is how I built this in a few days, less than a week. And how you can cheat. Cut all the corners. So, also, a bit of a sales pitch, I am looking for work. So, if anyone wants a fantastic TV developer, I'll have more information at the end. So, let's talk about this game. Here's the link. What's nice is that if you're asked to present the same day, it helps if you've already built a tutorial, which is open source to the community. So, I'm just going to have this video playing, I'm going to have it muted, and I'm just going to talk through these different sections. It will be fast. I know that we are running over on time. This is a public repo that I have open, that same gift that I love so much. Punching your walls. Punching your walls. It's so fun. I'm going to have this demo. You guys can check it out. It's about 2 minutes, so it's relatively quick. So, what really made this possible is that Meta came out with an SDK update about a month or so ago, and they keep coming up with iterations on this. The big one is called version 65. Great advertising. The main thing about it is that it made things so much simpler. They have this tool that is room scan. Virtual home is what they call it. What's fantastic about virtual home is that you can just hit play and it'll generate a room. It'll show you how what prefab, what pre-existing object they're going to use for couches, for chairs, for windows, for ceilings, for walls. You can then modify those prefabs. So effectively, they give you a whole room. Every time you hit play, it's going to generate a new room, so you can actually test your game mechanics over and over again in different setups really, really easily. And they give you the thing that you can modify. So the main thing that I really wanted out of this game was if ever you get a MetaQuest 3, there's a fantastic demo that I wanted to build a clone of called First Encounters. Now, First Encounters is a game when a little UFO comes in and basically these little blobs are coming through and they're bursting through your walls and you're shooting them and they're getting collected into goo and it's just fun because you're breaking your room. At first, like, that's what it's going to build a clone of. And then as I was testing mechanics, I saw, and I got this little breaking wall demo, which I'll show you in a little bit, this asset. When I had a little sphere, I moved it with my hand, I hit the wall. This is now the mechanic. This is this entire game. This is going to be so much fun. And then it became a boxing game. So, the first thing I want to show you first thing is use what is available around you. You don't need to build everything from ground up, especially if you're trying to do something very, very quick. So I found this asset, just went on the asset store and typed in breaking walls. And this exists. This is exactly what I want. This is what I want in MR. It's $20, buy it if ever you're trying to break your walls. Don't need to reinvent the wheel. Now, once it comes in, I tested their demo scene. Make sure that it works, make sure it works the way that you want it to. And what's great is that in the demo scene, they gave you the code that excluded the walls. So if I hit right here, this is the explosion, here's how it works. Beautiful. It actually works. That was me going through the demo scene. No point in testing the demo any further in virtual reality if it doesn't work in regular reality. And also what I thought was interesting is that they had 3 different levels to their wall. Well, I didn't need 3 different levels to a wall, I needed one. The one that is going to be your wall. So if we go inside, this is what we talk about. This is Meta's virtual home. And again, you go inside, Meta provides this, it's free. So I want to make sure that your project is set up with this. So I usually start with an empty project, just make sure the meta stuff works. So import all their stuff, make sure it runs. Virtual home is free and available. And again, this is just a few different scripts that they have. There's no pre-built assets that are built into that scene. As soon as you start it up, it generates a room. And every time I hit play, it'll generate a new different room. So it's great. Out of the box, it's very easy and seamless. And what's more is that it's like, great. If I were to build this, and if I were just make a build with just a scene, I will actually see their living room, their floor on my floor, their couch on my couch, their windows on my windows. How does virtual reality know where my tables and my plants and my ceiling and my windows, all these objects exist? You go inside your setting and you set up a room and it just asks you to look around. This is also not new technology. This has existed since the HoloLens. When you scan a room, you see this beautiful mesh come in. These are your walls, these are your ceilings. It's wonderful. It then says, cool, that's a couch, that's a desk. It generates, it figures it out for you. You can edit it as much as you want, but those are built inside the settings of your headset. So when you build a Unity game or an Unreal game, it already assumes that that has already been set up. None of this mixed reality really works unless you have your room set up, or at least not the room scale settings. So if I were to make a build out of that virtual home scene, I have a little gray, sad-looking couch, I have a sad-looking wall, I have everything you just saw in that scene. Replace my room with their versions of it. So it's positioned to my room, which is great, because then I could just remove everything that wasn't a wall or a ceiling, because that's all I really cared about, and then replace it with my own. And this is where it talks about how it does the spawning. I have this wall. I just take one of their walls, copy it, paste it, swap out a regular wall with a breakable wall. And what's great about scaling, you don't need to worry about scaling. You do want to worry about Z position, because if something is a little bit too far in the Z position than it wants, then you get little corners. Like you'll see the objects behind it in a little weird way. But just keep playing around with it, you can actually effectively swap out their walls with yours. And so I got this nice little wall. I only really cared for the front portion of the wall. And then I swapped it out. Now, one thing to note. You'll see that Meta has provided a wall, a table, a couch, a window frame, all these things. I didn't care about any of them. I don't really need to use a chair or a table or a plant. I only care about walls and ceilings, because those are things I'm going to be punching through and I want the UFOs to punch through. So I just removed the rest of them from the list, and I kept wall and ceiling. So let's see. I did my little sphere. I moved this. Now this is the simple script that simply breaks the wall. Now, you see that script, that nice asset that I talked about at the beginning, it took this one wall object, it broke into little tiny objects, they all have physics on them, they're great, they work in VR, I was surprised there's no lag. It's very efficient. Swap it out with my own. The major thing that happens, the major exciting part is when you see a ball and it actually breaks through the object. Yes. Now I know that my UFOs will behave exactly that as long as they have their physics and it's all attached and it all works appropriately. And yeah, just bulldozer. Last thing is making sure it looked and felt appropriate. Now, you'll notice this is not an invisible wall. This is a gray, sad-looking wall. I don't want to see a gray, sad wall, and I don't want it to look any way besides what your wall already looks like. So how do I make a wall that looks like all your walls? I don't. I make it invisible. So you don't see the physics. You don't see anything that's beyond what is your wall. So I wanted a very specific shader that does two things. One, itself is invisible. And two, it occludes, it hides everything behind it. I want it to act like a physical object that you just don't see. So with that, I built this little shader. And again, this is open source, but what's great about this, you can see that the sphere, this is my wall. And you'll see that you can see part of the sphere, you can't see part of it because it's behind my little invisible wall object. But those are the two things I really wanted to do. I wanted to hide whatever's behind it, because I have this fantastic looking skybox, and I have UFOs. Both of those should be completely invisible to play at the beginning, but as you break through stuff, you'd be like, what is that? Is that space? Yes, it is. That's space. And that's really all there was to it. You take that fun little shader, you attach it to this breakable wall, throw those into mixed reality in place of the existing walls, and you add some scripts for the beginning end of your game, and you have a simple game. Like, it's not too complicated, it's a 2-minute demo, I'm demoing in the back. And the main things that I really wanted to impart, I'm looking for work. And if you're gonna make a project, make it simple. Just try to keep it scoped down as much as humanly possible. So, yeah, this is my project. If I'll have a QR code to my LinkedIn, I posted this, it's available. And yeah, my fantastic website, 10 years of development with plugins, virtual reality, augmented reality games around the San Francisco Bay Area and New York. And here are some ways you can get in contact with me. If you have any questions, you have the QR code that DJ has provided, and we'll have this demo presented in the back. Hopefully that's pretty quick.
Awesome demo. Really appreciate you coming and doing that for us. All right, so we have a couple of quick questions. I know we're way over, but those presentations were awesome, so we'll be a little bit late today. That's okay. So all of our presenters can come on back. If you have any questions, hit that QR code. I have a couple in here, I think, for Arturo at the moment. We'll see if a couple more come in. And we'll go with brief answers because of where we are with time anyway. All right, so let me start for Arturo. How much depth can the display render from Ryan?
I don't have a direct answer to that. Hopefully the person that asked this question is still here. You don't have to tell them something. It's something. Oh, okay. So,
oh, hey.
Yes, direct answer. Something about this much, which is not really saying a lot. It's probably best illustrated, which I can do in Blender in a moment. And if the display is still passing around, I can take this opportunity to say, hey, just remember to give it back, so I can show some people some stuff. But yeah, it's a little bit petty to explain, but I can show you something like this, both in Unity, Blender, Unreal, and all these things. All of your
Okay. Scientific.
Yeah.
Another quick question for you. Can you explain light fields as if I'm 5 years old?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Awesome.
So great question. I should have done that in the chat. So thanks for asking that. But a light field. So raise your hand if you're familiar with point clouds. Okay, so light fields are kind of like point clouds in that they are like very intelligently distributed light. So that's to say, if we could say, I'm going to capture the information about light right here, and 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 also here, from every single angle, and then reproject that back, kind of like a projector screen. That's a light field. It's like it's a box in which light exists, and the box is just how much of that light we're measuring. And so what's happening with the display is we're reprojecting back out the light from a 3D scene or a physical realm scene that we've captured. Not very short, but if you have follow-up questions, just find me or address that.
Okay, one more for you. Is there a future where users can interact with holograms? And I know that answer.
Yes, so I missed this part mostly because like crippling anxiety, but the displays can function with any peripheral that that any traditional display can work with. So you can make applications that use something like an Xbox or PlayStation controller or a leap motion device. And one of the videos that I was showing showed somebody actually interacting with objects in that space. Also, I should have said this earlier too, but we're based in Greenpoint in Hong Kong, so I won't invite you to the Hong Kong office because I guess you're like based here, but if you are, go there. But if you're in the New York area, definitely come hang out in Greenpoint. I'm there Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'd love to have excuses not to focus on the things I should be focusing on. I can answer more of these questions. But yes, you can do that. The future is now. We're all in like this whole panel situation, speakers thing is like proof of that.
Okay, question for Joe. What recommendations do you have for learning Unity?
Oh, fun. Thank you. I was going to yell. Yeah, the learning curve is constantly getting lower and lower and lower. I actually teach Unity on Saturday mornings to middle schoolers. That's not to, talk on anyone's intelligence. It's just that accessible. If you can learn position, rotation, and scale, you can build a 3D snowman, then you can move objects around in 3D space. And that's exactly what we do on day one. So go through, check out the tutorials. Unity itself has fantastic tutorials that are embedded into their website, and I would start there. It's really seamless, especially, if you have no experience, if you have Unreal experience, if you have anything, it's just start there, download the stuff, and give it a shot.
For Yvonne, how can the community help support hubs and on the money side of things? Servers and...
Yeah, I was going to do the same thing, just talk. Definitely reach out to me and I can give you more details, but join our Discord. Our interim board would love to chat with you. We'll have more of an official setup for donations, but yeah, there's a lot to do. Bring those questions to me and we can sit down and have a chat about the details. Yeah, thanks for the question.
All right, I think that's it. Last thing. Done. Thank you for all the members. And we're going to probably skip August, but we'll be back in September for more wonderful events. September is going to be fashion related to coincide with Fashion Week. So if anyone has any XR fashion stuff going on, let me know. Looks like we got a winner right here. We're going to have some demos still in the back for the last half hour. And thank you everyone for coming. Awesome. Thank you for coming.
He said that he's doing a demo.
Someone sits there and you this was like
A lot of